They told him no. Black artists don't get played on MTV. Black artists don't sell pop records. Black artists stay in their lane. But this shy kid from Gary, Indiana, didn't just break their rules, he rewrote them. This is the story of how one voice, one dance move, and one unshakable vision transformed not just music, but the entire world. Some voices are born to change everything. Some artists don't just make music, they create movements. Michael Joseph Jackson's story isn't just about becoming the biggest star in the world. It's about a transformation so complete, so revolutionary, that it redefined what was possible. August 29, 1958, Gary, Indiana. A small industrial town where factories filled the air with smoke and dreams seemed as distant as the stars. In a tiny two-bedroom house on Jackson Street, Katherine Jackson gave birth to her 8th child. She named him Michael. The Jackson family was poor. Joe Jackson worked in a steel mill, his hands calloused and his dreams deferred. Katherine worked part-time at Sears. 9 children in a house meant for 4. But Katherine had something no poverty could touch: music in her soul. She sang, she played guitar, and she passed that gift to her children. Joe Jackson saw something else in music: escape, a way out of the mills, a ticket to somewhere better. He'd tried his own music career and failed, but his children, they could be different. They could be great, so he pushed them hard. By age 5, Michael was already performing, not at birthday parties or school talent shows, at strip clubs and bars around Gary. While other kids played with toys, Michael studied James Brown's every move on a black and white TV. He would stand inches from the screen, mimicking the godfather of soul's spins, splits, and slides. His brothers, Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, and Marlon, formed the foundation. But even then, everyone knew Michael was different. When he sang, grown men would stop drinking. When he danced, the room fell silent. At 6 years old, he had something that couldn't be taught: magic. Joe Jackson's rehearsals were brutal, hours every day after school. Miss a step, face the consequences. Make a mistake, feel his belt. Years later, Michael would cry talking about his father. "I'd see other kids playing and I'd just cry," he said. "I wanted a childhood so bad." But that stolen childhood created something else: perfection. By 1968, the Jackson 5 had caught the attention of Motown Records. Berry Gordy, the legendary founder, saw them perform and knew immediately this was special. More than special, this was historic. "I Want You Back" dropped in October 1969. Michael was 11 years old. The song shot to #1. Then came ABC, #1. Then The Love You Save, #1 again. 4 consecutive #1 hits. No group had ever done that before. America fell in love with little Michael Jackson. His voice had a purity that cut through everything: race, age, geography. When he sang "I'll Be There," even the hardest hearts melted. He wasn't just a child star, he was a phenomenon. But inside, Michael was struggling. The pressure was immense. Every mistake meant millions lost. Every performance had to be perfect, and his father never let him forget it. "You mess up, you cost everyone," Joe would say. The other kids at Motown, Diana Ross, Stevie Wonder, Smokey Robinson, they all tried to protect him. Diana especially took him under her wing. "He was so talented but so fragile," she later said, "like a beautiful bird in a cage."
As the 1970s progressed, Michael began to feel trapped. The Jackson 5 sound was becoming dated. Motown controlled everything: their songs, their image, their futures. Michael wanted more. He wanted to create, not just perform. At 18, Michael made a bold move. He left Motown. The family signed with Epic Records, rebranding as the Jacksons. But more importantly, Michael started working on solo material. He wanted to prove he was more than just a cute kid with a great voice. 1979 changed everything. Off the Wall released, produced by the legendary Quincy Jones. This wasn't bubblegum pop. This was sophisticated, grown-up music. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, Rock With You, Off the Wall. These were masterpieces. The album sold 10 million copies. It should have been the biggest story in music. It should have dominated award shows. But when Grammy nominations came, Michael was largely ignored. The message was clear. As talented as he was, there was a ceiling for Black artists in pop music. Michael was devastated, but more than that, he was motivated. "I'm going to make an album they can't ignore," he told Quincy Jones. "I'm going to make the biggest album of all time." That drive, that hunger, that refusal to accept limits, that's what created Thriller. For months, Michael and Quincy worked obsessively. Every song had to be perfect, every note, every beat, every lyric. Michael would rehearse vocal takes 50, 60 times until it was exactly right. He'd spend hours on a single dance step until it looked effortless. Thriller released on November 30th, 1982. The first single, The Girl Is Mine with Paul McCartney, was a hit, but it was just the beginning. Then came Billie Jean. The bass line, the beat, Michael's voice cutting through like a knife, and that music video, Michael in the suit, the fedora, moving like nobody had ever moved before. MTV played it constantly. But here's the thing, they almost didn't. MTV in 1982 was essentially a white rock station. They claimed their audience didn't want to see Black artists. When Epic Records submitted Billie Jean, MTV rejected it. They said it didn't fit their format. Walter Yetnikoff, the head of CBS Records, made a legendary phone call. "You play this video," he told MTV executives, "or I'm pulling every video from every artist on our label." He threatened to go public about their discrimination. MTV blinked. They played Billie Jean, and the world changed. Suddenly, everyone was watching MTV just to see Michael. The moonwalk he debuted on Motown 25, that backwards glide that seemed to defy physics, became the most replicated dance move in history. Kids everywhere were trying to moonwalk. Adults were trying to moonwalk. The whole world was moonwalking. Beat It came next. Michael somehow convinced Eddie Van Halen to play guitar on a pop song. The video showed gang violence ending through dance. MTV played it non-stop. Then the title track, Thriller. The 14-minute music video wasn't just a music video, it was a short film. Directed by John Landis, with makeup by Rick Baker, it cost $500,000. That was unheard of, but Michael knew it would be worth it. The zombie dance, the red jacket, the transformation. Thriller became the most iconic music video ever made. To this day, nothing has topped it. Thriller the album did something nobody thought possible. It sold 1 million copies a week, not a month, a week. It won 8 Grammy Awards in one night, a record that still stands. It became the best-selling album of all time, with more than 70 million copies sold. Michael Jackson wasn't just a pop star anymore. He was the biggest entertainer on the planet. Bigger than Elvis, bigger than the Beatles, bigger than anyone. But something else happened too. Michael had broken through a barrier that seemed unbreakable. MTV was now playing Black artists regularly. Prince, Lionel Richie, Whitney Houston, they all benefited from the door Michael kicked down.
He didn't just change his own life, he changed the industry. The mid-1980s were Michael's peak. The 1984 Victory Tour with his brothers was the highest-grossing tour in history. Michael's signature moves, the moonwalk, the spin, the toe stand, were being studied like classical ballet. In 1985, Michael did something that showed his heart. He co-wrote We Are the World with Lionel Richie to raise money for famine relief in Africa. 46 artists came together, but Michael's vision drove the project.
The song raised over $60 million for charity. This was a pattern throughout Michael's life. He donated over $400 million to various charities during his lifetime. He visited sick children in hospitals. He built Neverland Ranch as a place where underprivileged kids could experience joy. But the media rarely focused on this. 1987 brought Bad, the highly anticipated follow-up to Thriller. How do you follow perfection? Michael's answer? You don't try to repeat it, you evolve. Bad was edgier, more aggressive. The title track's video showed Michael in buckles and leather, trying to show a tougher side. Smooth Criminal featured the impossible forward lean, a move that required patented special shoes. Bad sold 35 million copies. For any other artist, that would be the achievement of a lifetime, but Michael was being compared to Thriller, and nothing could match that. Still, the Bad World Tour was extraordinary. Michael performed for 4.4 million people across 123 shows. His precision was legendary. Every spin had to land at the exact angle. Every step had to hit the exact spot. He was part musician, part dancer, part magician. But the pressure was building. Michael was the most famous person on Earth, and fame like that comes with a price. He couldn't go anywhere without being mobbed. He couldn't trust anyone because everyone wanted something. He was lonely in a way that's hard to comprehend. Neverland Ranch became his refuge, a 2,700-acre estate with amusement park rides, a zoo, a movie theater. To outsiders, it seemed like fantasy. To Michael, it was the childhood he never had. "I'm just trying to recapture something I lost," he would say. The 1990s brought new challenges. Michael's appearance was changing dramatically. The skin condition vitiligo was lightening his complexion, which he covered with makeup for consistency. Plastic surgeries were becoming more frequent. The media began to portray him as bizarre, weird, eccentric. Dangerous dropped in 1991. Musically, it was groundbreaking, incorporating new jack swing, harder beats, more social commentary. Black or White addressed racial unity. Heal the World was a plea for global compassion. The Super Bowl 27th halftime show in 1993 changed everything for halftime shows. Michael stood completely still for 2 full minutes as the crowd screamed. Then he exploded into performance. 133.4 million people watched. After that, the Super Bowl halftime show became the most coveted performance slot in music. But 1993 also brought the first allegations. A 13-year-old boy accused Michael of inappropriate behavior. The allegations were never proven in court. Michael settled the civil suit for $23 million, always maintaining his innocence. But the damage to his reputation was catastrophic. The media frenzy was vicious. Late-night talk shows made him a punchline. Tabloids printed increasingly wild stories. The man who had given so much joy to the world was being destroyed publicly. Michael's response was to keep working. History, Past, Present, and Future, Book 1, released in 1995. It was a double album. 1 disc of greatest hits, 1 of new material. The new songs were darker, angrier. They Don't Care About Us was a cry against injustice. Scream, a duet with his sister Janet, expressed his frustration with media persecution. The History World Tour was massive. 82 shows, 4.4 million fans, 35 countries. Michael was still the biggest draw in entertainment. But he was also increasingly isolated, increasingly fragile. In 1996, Michael married Debbie Rowe, a dermatology nurse. They had 2 children, Prince and Paris. The marriage was unconventional and ended in 1999, but Michael cherished his children. They became his purpose, his reason to keep going. The 2000s were difficult. Another round of allegations in 2003 led to a 2005 trial. Michael was acquitted on all counts.
The jury found the accusations not credible. But again, the trial took an enormous toll. Michael looked gaunt, exhausted, broken.
After the trial, Michael largely retreated from public life. He moved to different countries, trying to find peace. His finances were in trouble. Decades of extravagant spending and being taken advantage of by advisors had created massive debt. In 2009, Michael announced This Is It, a 50-show residency at London's O2 Arena. It was meant to be his comeback. Rehearsal footage showed him still had the magic. The moonwalk was still smooth. The voice was still there. At 50, he was preparing to show the world he could still perform at the highest level. June 25, 2009. Michael Jackson died from cardiac arrest, caused by a fatal combination of prescription drugs administered by his personal physician. He was 50 years old. The world stopped. The news spread instantly. Websites crashed from traffic. Fans gathered outside Neverland Ranch, the Apollo Theater, his childhood home in Gary. People who had mocked him days before now mourned him. Michael's memorial service at the Staples Center drew 31 million American viewers, one of the most watched events in television history. His daughter, Paris, just 11 years old, spoke through tears. "Daddy has been the best father you could ever imagine." In death, the world remembered what it had tried to forget. Michael Jackson was a genius. Not just talented, a genius. His influence on music, dance, fashion, and culture was immeasurable. Today, Michael's music still dominates. His videos still get millions of views. New generations discover his artistry and are blown away. Artists from Beyoncé to Justin Timberlake to Usher to Bruno Mars, they all cite Michael as their primary influence. The boy from Gary, Indiana, who wasn't supposed to break through barriers, became the man who demolished them. He showed the world that talent transcends race. He proved that excellence cannot be denied. He transformed not just music videos into art forms, but entire perceptions of what's possible. Michael Jackson's story is complex. It's triumphant and tragic, joyful and heartbreaking. But above all, it's proof that one person with vision, talent, and unshakable determination can quite literally change the world. Because when that shy kid moonwalked backwards, he moved the entire world forward. If this story moved you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Join our community that celebrates hidden talents and legendary transformations. Have you ever been told you couldn't do something because of who you are? How did you prove them wrong? Share your story in the comments. Remember, the most powerful statement isn't what you say, it's what you achieve when everyone doubts you.